that have vastly improved, as well as past giants who've just fallen off the road. It gave us this glimpse of something special, a bit of never-before-seen software magic. But it was kind of hard to appreciate it when the phone was plagued with reception issues, bugs and glitches all round, a wonky fingerprint special, things like the lively animated software, and the incredible photo processing. This award is all yours, Google. It's still a solid phone. It's fast, it's got good battery, and it's got 4 more years of full-on software support from now. You'd only be getting a camera that's very slightly better, a chip that's basically the same, and then a battery life that's actually slightly worse. All leading the iPhone 13 to sit as a prime discounted sweet spot phone right now. You've got great small phones like the Pixel 7, like the Samsung Galaxy S22. Not just even smaller than all of them, fastest chip you can get, up to 16 gigs of RAM, a really responsive screen, and given that Oppo is now making foldables, Vivo's making foldables who currently have a shape that makes sense in both folded form, where it's basically a slightly podgy but pretty normal feeling phone, and then unfolded, where it's a tablet that's actually widescreen and you can watch videos on, whilst almost eliminating the crease. Even when it's folded up, the thing is barely thicker than a normal single-layered phone. I would say that nothing is more important than software that lets you best take advantage of it. Like, this taskbar at the bottom is an actual game changer. I'm flying through all of my most recent and most used apps, and you can even save combinations that you would normally want to open at the same time. For the last 6 months, I've been absolutely addicted to this phone game called Bloons Tower Defense, because Apple's A16 chip is basically the most powerful thing you can get on any smartphone, and that games on Apple tend to be a bit more optimized than games on Android. But it doesn't quite win it for me. The phone gets hot after a period of time, it crashes when you really push it. Phones with a borderless display, in order to get this bezel-less design, they've had to use an under-display camera. Pretty much halfway in between Red Magic's philosophy of let's just throw some stupidly high-end specs together and see what happens, and the iPhone, which is meticulously planned out and highly optimized, also had some care put into it on the software front. And that makes it one of the only gaming phones, just a general multimedia powerhouse, with also the best speakers and the best battery of any mainstream device. Dominated the market becomes by Xiaomi and Oppo, or more specifically, the spin-off companies that they've created. Because these guys focus on a higher volume of sales as opposed to profit per user, describes it as a little more than you'd expect, and whether it's performance or charging speed or the screen, you can feel that here. I would say are even more militant with just cramming in every spec that they possibly can for prices that you didn't see coming. And they tend to pair that with these incredibly bright, bold designs that I personally find delightful, but I could also see how you might think they look like. These trophies are so cool. We even managed to get the separate elevation of each different part of the camera mod. It goes above and beyond performance. The Pocket phone can be, when you give the company more budget to work with, like a bit of a return to form after a few years of some not so great intriguing design, reliable software and cameras, and more noticeably, a level of attention to detail that you an unforgiving market. I'm genuinely excited to see what is coming next from these guys. Do best iPhone flagship, and then best Android. They've got fantastic cameras, have turned off the new always-on display feature, and even though the battery has taken a slight hit from last year, they are still undeniably the. Then my recommendation would be, instead of going for the $429 iPhone SE, which has a pretty compromised screen and battery, Sony, Oppo, Xiaomi, OnePlus, groundbreaking as some of their earlier flagships, but the smartphone market is quite an equalizing system. You have a near top spec Android phone, and yet you can find this on the official store for $699 brand new, which is a bargain. Camera zoom, built-in stylus, probably the 2 best phones for photography on the market. The easiest flagship to recommend to set up with a fast transfer adapter in the box, simple to use with software that's both intuitive and filled with helpful tutorials, and also simple to take incredible photos. And you have this trophy to show for it. I've seen a few people figured out that 70% of phones when they fall hit the ground on one of their corners. Created specialized air cavities in these bounce corners. They're inspired by Air Max sneaker culture, and they're there to add rigidity and create structural support. This bounce case drop proof all the way up to 21.3 feet. 2,000 designs to pick from, support for straps so you don't drop it in the first place.